You're listening to the Talkative Introvert podcast. Hey everyone, this is Melissa. I am your host of the the Talkative Introvert podcast. Thanks for coming back, or if you're new to the show, please go check out the other episodes as well. And I hope you enjoy this one. So in today's episode, I am joined by Jon Pethke. He is a USAF veteran out of Appleton, Wisconsin, and owner of. Oh, I didn't ask you. Is it pronounced CoyAmore?
CoyAmore.
CoyAmore. Okay. The dating app for introverts. So thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I know that's just a really short, small description of you, but is there anything else you want to add to that little intro to yourself?
Yeah. So, like you said, I'm from Appleton, Wisconsin. Created the app. Currently, I work a day job as an internal auditor for American Family Insurance, and then I teach part-time, teaching small business development at a local community college, and then also part-time getting my master's in sustainable management. But apart from that, like you said, I was in the Air Force for 4 years, and just trying to let everyone know about this app that we made.
So we met over Instagram, right?
Yeah.
We messaged each other, and I did look more into it, and it's really interesting. I guess I've always thought about like whether there should be an app or like if app. So I'm not single. I haven't been single for a long time, so I don't really know what the apps are about. But I am curious if that was like a thing, if people cared, if you're introvert, extrovert, if you talked about that. I do so. I usually ask my guests like if they're an introvert, extrovert, ambivert, but I'm assuming because you created this app that you are an introvert.
Definitely an
Okay.
introvert. Yeah.
So, what got you interested to do this app or to create it?
Yeah. So I think in like February of 2022, I was sitting in my office with some friends of mine, and we were talking about dating. And I just said, I wish there was a app for people like me that are introverted and like catered to that more. And one of them was like, "Why don't you make it?" And I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, I'll look into it." And I did, and I saw that there's a lot of great dating apps out there, and but there's none that directly cater to introverts. A lot of the apps they provide features that can be good for introverts, but with so many like dating apps, kind of trying to get as many people as possible on them. It's easy for them to be like flooded with extroverts. So, and that can like, I think maybe scare away from introverts. Like it makes it more difficult because they expend their energy so frugally. They like to use it in the way they want to. So I kind of went forward with it since I didn't find anything that really did that at the time.
So, what's like the main things you didn't like about the other apps?
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't like them. Like I said, there's a lot of good dating apps out there, but I think the consideration for introverts is what I would appreciate. Like, I think that a lot of people that I would want to probably date would be more introverted. And I think, like I said, that there's probably like a lack of introverts on dating apps. When you think about a dating app, it's probably like the prime way for introverts to meet people because they're just more online. They don't get out as much. The problem with that is that the current dating app population, like I said, is flooded with more extroverts. So I feel like it could potentially keep a large population, away from them. So I think creating one that's supposed to help them specifically is going to, bring those that may have not joined already out of the woodwork, or even, transition ones that, are already using them to an app that helps them more.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of experience with dating apps, but I have heard that sometimes it can be a bit of a nightmare, and it can
Yeah,
be exhausting, right? Like majority of my friends, if not all, no, majority of them are introverts, and some of them do use, the apps, and they say it's very like socially draining as well.
it can be, honestly. I mean, it's you'd think like uh, social interactions are, draining for, someone like me in general. And doing that in person is like one thing, but doing it online can be just the same. The ins and outs of constantly talking to people, and it, uh, going places to a point where it ends up not working out, or even just constantly talking to random people, that can just be equally as draining.
Hmm. So, okay, so let's get into like the actual app itself. So, what are the functionalities that, introverts can take from this app that's different from your typical dating app?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of, I mean, the dating apps that have been around forever have a lot of good features in them. And I would almost say that they're staples. Like, they've been around for so long and they've kept the same features because they are smart to have in a dating app. So we started our app with, a lot of those same features because I think they're smart to keep. They've been incorporated into all of the other apps for a reason. Apart from that, we want to incorporate new features that obviously cater to introverts. So one really isn't a feature; it's the fact that the app exists, and we're branding it as, the dating app for introverts. I think a lot of apps don't do that in any capacity, or like they have their own branding, but there isn't an app that's saying, we are the dating app for introverts, and we want our population, to be helped, or like, yeah, helped more. So that's like one thing is community, I guess. It's not
Hmm.
really a feature. It's just, that's what we want it to be. Past that, one thing that's different is that like our match algorithm is based off of like the 5 universal love languages. Over the years of talking with people, I've recognized that like that's like a really appreciated point when dating someone, is to understand how they're best loved and how they best give love. So we added that. It doesn't really have anything to do with introversion per se. I mean, in a way it does, but not directly. It's just something
Hmm.
we felt would be an improvement. Um, Moving on to like a dating app focused features, are like blind date feature, which, so like when you match with someone and start talking, one thing that can be scary for people, even if you're not directly in front of them, is asking a person out. So we have a feature where you can toggle something on that lets the app know they're ready to go on a date with the other person, but it won't let that person know until they also toggle it on, and then the app will let them both know they're ready to go on a date with each other. So it's kind of like another level of like matching, but also, helps an introvert um, ask somebody out. Uh, so those are like a couple of the main things. We have another feature that's kind of like an improvement, which is connect to connect, which is really just how you, um, you know, press a like on someone. So uh, it's pretty simple. You're more dragging and dropping from one location to another, and as opposed to like swiping or just pressing one button. It's supposed to help. With like accidental matching, you have to actually kind of think about how to like someone over than just,
Hmm.
like accidentally pressing your finger left or right. Um,
Or just saying yes to everybody.
right. Yeah. So past that, I think in the future we have a lot of ideas to incorporate, more features for introversion. But just to get started, that's kind of like where our initial development came up.
And kind of like going back to what I was saying earlier about my friends, like how it can be socially draining. I know one of the reasons why it can be socially draining too is that can't remember which app it is, but they only give you like 24 hours to respond, right? So like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And I'm thinking, like, if you get multiple matches and you only get 24 hours, I don't know how you are, but like sometimes if I just don't have the energy to talk to somebody, like sometimes I'll hold off their text until like a few days, you know?
Yeah, so like I'm on multiple dating apps. I'm single myself, but Bumble is the one you're referencing, and that's
Okay.
supposed to, like it caters to women, which I like, and that's how we kind of like went into this, is like we're catering to a population, right? So yeah, I agree. I can't tell you how many times I've matched with a woman on Bumble, and that 24 hours went by, and I didn't even hear from them.
Mhm.
It's happened plenty of times, so it is. I get what you're saying. That can be. I'm sure emotionally draining on and
Yeah.
socially draining on both ends.
So is that something that you guys are kind of looking into as well or
We don't. Yeah, so like we're not adding a. I mean, I would say that's the only app that I've seen that actually puts a time restraint on when you can
Oh,
start
okay.
talking with someone.
Mhm.
I don't know how positive of a addition to that feature is. I know you can add like I think the man can add like another 24 hours to that if they want, but that's like where it caps out. So I'm not sure how like good of an idea it was to put a time restraint on when you can start talking with someone.
Mhm.
Um, but so we're just we wouldn't put a time restraint on that.
Okay. Yeah, cuz I think that's the one that really stuck out because I mean not just for introverts but people in general they're busy. It requires you to be on it all the time every
Yeah,
day and making sure that you don't like miss this opportunity because you might have missed out on a really great date
yeah,
because you just didn't have the time or, you know, what have you. So I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, that's a little I don't know if I like that."
yeah. I'm not sure where they were going with that.
Yeah, it's kinda weird, and I was like, that's not really a good idea, but okay, whatever, I'm not on the dating app, so
Yeah,
I don't really understand it, okay, and so I like the idea of, like, it is kind of you still use the basis from other apps, but really it's just bringing a community together,
yeah,
right? And so, what if there's, like, people who are extroverted, but they prefer dating introverts?
yeah. That's definitely encouraged. Like, I think extroverts and introverts can match well. I mean, opposites attract, and that happens for a reason. I've dated plenty of extroverts myself.
Mhm.
I think there's something to that, and we encourage extroverts to join the app if they think an
Okay.
introvert specifically is what they're looking to date.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of I was wondering, like, is it just you have to be an introvert and like extroverts are completely excluded from the app or how
Definitely
that works?
not. No.
So is your app live now?
Yep. Yeah. So we, like I said, I started this company in March of last year, and I found a development company that I wanted to work with in around May. And once we decided we wanted to work together, we started development of May of last year, and we released the app in May of this year. So it took right around a year to create the app, which is pretty good from what I understand. And there are bugs that we constantly are working on that come up. But
Mhm.
the app is out now, and we're trying to spread as much awareness as possible about it. So yeah,
Okay, awesome. So now that it's live, like art do you use the app? Do you
yeah.
personally?
So I don't really use it for like my own purposes per se. Like
Mhm.
I probably I probably make and create a new profile once a week, mostly just to test things out. So like my profile is usually never uh, complete. I make it and test out different things about it. That way I can make sure everything's working all right. There's plenty of times where I find things and, I forward them to the development team just to, make improvements on. So I don't use it for my own purposes, but I am periodically on there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious if you've gotten any like matches or anything like that yet, but
No, it takes like a while to get something like this going unless you have like unlimited money to market it. And I
yeah.
definitely do not. I'm bootstrapping it. I don't have an investor or anything like that. I'm currently looking for one, but it's pretty difficult
Mhm.
this soon after release. So right now, just focusing on marketing efforts as much as I can.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm sure it's kind of difficult if you don't have like the money for ad space and whatnot, and you're
Yeah.
trying to do this more in house rather than getting stakeholders and investors. Oh, I just lost it. There was a question I wanted to ask. Oh, so can you kind of like walk us through the experience, like the user experience, when like what does the profile look like? Because I know there's different like different styles, right? Like I think Tinder is just like picture first, and I know
Yeah.
some people they have like different questions and whatnot. Like
Yeah,
how does
so you walk through the app. It's a pretty basic like setup process. You walk in and it you sign up through your phone number and it sends you a verification code, and then you input that and start making the profile. It We just added like a kind of improvement. Before we had like uh when you join the app, like it would immediately like throw up the like location access with like no explanation, and we added like a additional picture and like just informing people why it's important to allow the location access. Otherwise, the app is kind of useless. So so then you adjust your love languages because that's kind of important to help people match. Start adding your pictures, and then your profile is basically like they're ready to edit more, but you're on the app once you add the pictures. And then there's like canned questions, like so if you don't want to think about it, but you still want to present yourself in some capacity, we have like pre-made questions and answers for people, and we also have like a blank bio that people can, if they want to add more about themselves. And then it incorporates like filters with who you want to filter in or out based off of your preferences, whether that be alcohol, smoking related, or kids or pets or any of those. And Yeah, that's kind of how the profile creation works.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
it sounds similar to like other ones too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. I know like Tinder, it's really just like a photo and then you tap and go to another photo, and then you can kind of like click on one of the photos to open
Mhm.
the bio and stuff. And like with Bumble and Hinge, it's like a swipe up and down motion to see the profile. We kind of took on the up and down, profile swiping. So
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think a lot of introverts appreciate kind of getting to know their person and
yeah.
not just like picture first or just swiping, because you have Tinder for that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm assuming these apps are more. I mean, I guess I can't speak for all introverts, but like if I was single, I would be more interested in like finding a partner.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that could
definitely.
fit my lifestyle. And so you were kind of talking about earlier, like it's not just a simple, you press yes or you swipe. And so is it like like you're categorizing it? You're like you're swiping it into different
Yeah.
slots or
So like our logo is like it's a blue heart inside of a thought bubble, and the thought bubble in the heart was kind of where I went with the introverted part, right? Because it was kind of hard to figure out like what branding represents introversion that doesn't make them feel, I don't know, like wronged or offended. So we did went with, because like introverts are can often be like very internal and think a lot. So I thought, like let's put a heart, so love is on the mind kind of thing. So that was kind of where we went with the logo. And when you see the screen and you're scrolling through a profile, there's a little bar at the bottom, and there's a heart on the left with the thought bubble on the right. So you drag the heart into the thought bubble to match with someone.
Oh, okay. That's cute. I
Yeah.
like that. That's a good idea. So it does require like additional thought, I guess, which
Yeah.
which makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to like one swift motion of swiping left or right or just one tap, you have to actually press, hold, and move.
Yeah. And so I guess more on like the safety part, but like do you have functionalities that prevent also like what do we call it? Uh catfishing, like
Sure. Yeah.
fake profiles and all
That
that?
makes sense. That's difficult for probably any app to figure out.
Mhm.
Right now, what we have is reporting and blocking, and that's about as much as that goes into. So if somebody suspects in any capacity, or it's obvious that there's like a fake profile or somebody's catfishing, they have every ability to report them and block their profile right away.
Mhm.
And for sure, obviously on our end, we would take that very seriously and look into it and make sure that is being remedied. But right now, that's all we have. Obviously, we want to add more in there because I think that's extremely important to anyone. But initially, that's what we have right now.
Okay. And I know you talked about earlier that there's an algorithm that kind of matches people based on their love languages and preferences and whatnot. But is there also functionality where people can just be open to whoever is available, like in their location?
Yep. Yeah. So when you join the app, you set your love languages. It's kind of like um, you have to do it, or you could really just leave it if you wanted to, but that wouldn't make much sense. But once you go into edit the profile in the settings area, there's an option to like turn that off if you wanted to, and you don't really need to. Like even if you don't turn it off, it'll still immediately go with like local individuals. It just
Hmm.
if you don't turn off the love languages option, it's just going to prioritize who best fits with you based off your love languages.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, because my husband and I don't have the same love language. Like
Yeah,
our tiers are completely different, but it doesn't impact necessarily like our ability to be together, but
yeah,
more of like I have to recognize what he appreciates and wants, and when he has to recognize what I want. And,
yeah,
they're just not, you just have to work together on that.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so the name, can you kind of talk about that? Because I know we talked about the logo, but how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, it's actually funny. So the company is called Intro, and that was like the original name I wanted to go with because like introverts and wooing someone, kind of.
Oh,
That makes sense.
like Sims or
And so I couldn't trademark that, or it was recommended not to try that because of he went into a lot of detail, but it would be difficult to trademark that name. So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board. And my brother actually said using Koi would be a good idea. And I agreed with him because Koi is like synonymous with shy, which kind of goes into introversion.
Mhm.
Um, and Amore, Italian for love. So we just combined those and went with that. And our trademark for that is I think is it's on its way to approval. It should be done around October. So that's been a positive process. But that's kind of how we came up with the name.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah. I was curious, like, what put it together.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. Yeah. Amore. Yeah. And so the app, are you going to also, like, I don't, maybe not right now, but like down the road, kind of have like a paid version too, kind of like other apps, where it has like other functionalities and whatnot?
Yeah, so right now, it's free, and to get certain features right now, you'd have to pay like a subscription, or like
Okay.
yeah, so like to see profiles and to unlimited match with people and to use like the blind date feature, you'd have to subscribe. There are side services, or like if you want to retract on someone or like go back if you didn't mean to swipe on someone,
Hmm.
you can pay like a one time fee to do that. Um, But otherwise, it's free to match with people. People, if somebody likes you, it'll kind of gray or like blur them out until you match with them. Right now, so we have like a reveal option you can buy to see who they are.
Hmm.
But mm, right now, there's it kind of limits your location. And I actually we're recently decided in the last week that I'm just going to remove that. Um,
Okay.
at least for the time being, like for probably for the first couple of years, I think it would just be good to not have that. So that way, when people get on the app, they see that there's actually people on there. Because if somebody hears about this in a state, that isn't really being marketed to, and they jump on and see that no one's around, they're probably not going to want to keep the app on. So I do just want people to see that people are joining. It's just going to take time. So for
Mhm.
now, we're in the process of removing that kind of paywall, so that way people see that there's people joining.
Yeah. And so do you have like future goals on, different functionalities that you kind of want to try later on?
Yeah. So right now, I want to add to our website like a couple quizzes, like if someone's not sure if they're introverted or extroverted, or they're not sure about their love languages. So that way the app will direct them to the website and they can take that quiz for free and just, find out more. So that's something I want to add to the website slash app. I have a feature in mind that I came up with that'll help like with initial talking. Once you like
Okay.
kind of like an icebreaker type situation. And then my I have a partner in this, which is like the development company, and they are currently developing a AI related feature, or like an AI like company program, and that's something that we've discussed that we want to incorporate into the app when that's like done. So a couple things in mind that are going to be future.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, the icebreaker one, because I think, at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but I'm really bad at small talk. And
Yes,
I'm not always great at, yeah, great at like trying to figure out how to start a conversation. I think for podcasting, it's just easy because you have a topic in mind, this one being the app.
absolutely.
Um, so when someone matches with somebody and they, are ready to connect, is it just like an open communication or like how does that look?
Yeah. So when you match, it's really just going to be you're given a chat area and you can just start talking, and either party can start the conversation. But yeah, it's just kind of open form right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be my biggest, like, how do you, create a hook? Like, what's a
It's
good,
difficult. Yeah, it's
yeah.
difficult. Especially I think as an introvert, if you're not like naturally good at just coming up with conversation, it does pose a challenge. So I definitely relate to that. It's not a strength for me. So
Yeah. So if there's like some way you can like figure out how to do that to make it a little easier, or maybe I don't know. I guess adding like speaking topics to some or to the
yeah.
app, or I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I,
hard to
I
say.
basically have like the feature all written out and everything. It's just a matter of incorporating it and like the money to develop it and stuff. So
Hmm.
we're sitting tight with our current development, but that's definitely a future aspiration.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd be interested to see how that goes
Yeah.
if it works out. Yeah. So I know you mentioned blind date a couple of times. What is it exactly? Like, how do you do a blind date over an app?
So the blind date isn't the atypical blind date. It's just what we're calling it, because the when the with the feature like it's the feature I mentioned regarding like when you match with someone and you toggle something on to let the app know you're ready to go on a date. The
Hmm.
blind aspect of it is that the other person doesn't know, um, that the one person doesn't know that the other person has toggled the I want to go on a date button on, until the other one does. So that's kind of where the thought of the name blind date came into play.
Okay. So what is I guess what purpose does that serve?
So it takes away the fear of asking someone out. Like you don't have
Oh.
to immediately be like, "Hey, do you want to go on a date?" Or with the fear like, "Oh, I'll get rejected," or maybe they don't want to, or maybe they're not ready yet. So when the other person toggles it on, then it kind of creates a segue to be like, "Oh, good. I already know that they want to go on a date with me, so I can now ask them more directly."
Oh, okay. So when you match and you guys are chatting, there's like a button you can press to say that you're ready to date. And
Yeah.
if you guys both press it, it'll notify you guys, I guess.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And then that makes it so that they can officially ask you on an official date.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't think about that. I guess that's a yeah, because it would be really awkward, I guess, if they didn't want to date you
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
yeah. So say that you guys are chatting, um, but one of them is just not feeling it. Like, how do they just can they just end the chat or like how does that work?
Yeah. You can unmatch with them. I mean, like, you can, for lack of a better word, you can ghost a person if you want to. Like, there's nothing that prevents that. And I've had a lot of feedback about like, you should create something that prevents ghosting, but that I think I don't. That's not really a good idea. Like you
Mhm.
can't take away a person's freedom. That's especially like someone as an introvert who very much values their freedom. It's not. I don't have a solution for that. I don't know that
Yeah.
anyone does. It's just if you're not interested in someone, it doesn't work. That's really all it is.
Yeah, I was just wondering if like so if you unmatch someone, I'm assuming they'll tell that person like so and so unmatched with you or like so and so ended this conversation. Or is
I
it
think
just
right now, I think right now it would just like they just wouldn't show up anymore, and I think that's
oh,
how
okay.
like most, from my memory, I think most other apps kind of do it. They don't really like inform the person, "Hey, you just got ghosted."
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm wondering if that I don't know if that would do any good or if that'd be good or worse to do
yeah,
that. Because then I guess it would at least let the person know, like, oh, I guess they're not interested anymore. So like it's a form of rejection, but at least you know now rather than like waiting a week. It's like, okay, well they never texted back. I guess they're ghosting me.
yeah,
But
yeah. I hear what you're saying.
yeah, it's hard to yeah. Hard to say. And you're right, like you can't really prevent ghosting because that just requires you to change people, but you can't
Yeah,
change people, you
yeah,
know. They gotta
exactly.
do that on their own.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. I do hope like the app goes well and people find it useful. I like I don't have a lot of experience. I don't know like how it is for introverts, but based on like what I've heard, it seems tough. It seems rough for like introverts because I think we would rely on apps because I was actually talking to a friend the other whenever that was, and I was like, it's really hard to find people who are like me or similar
Yeah,
people. And my friend's like, well, it's probably because they're at home.
yeah,
you know?
100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear I hear that a lot. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely difficult, but yeah, no, I mean, we definitely hope the app's gonna work out as well. Currently I'm working with a an influencer out of California, and
Oh,
we did
nice.
a video a couple weeks ago, and it had a pretty positive reaction. So we decided to keep working together, and we're doing another video in a couple weeks. So that's I'm hoping that creates some traction.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like, everyone's on social media and it reaches a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's a yeah. Do you mind sharing who that influencer is so
Yeah,
people
yeah.
can
It's
go check it out?
I don't know the correct pronunciation of his last name, but
Oh,
his name is Chad. I think Kowalsek. It's Kawalek. I think.
okay.
He does like uplifting kind of videos and stuff for people, and he's very enthusiastic about the idea. And like
Mhm.
I said, his video that we kind of did together was like it came up very positively. So And he's super enthusiastic. I love him for it. It's doing this even with a partner is it can be difficult.
Hmm.
So it's nice to have someone who is very uplifting in that capacity for me.
Yeah. And then the company's also on social media. So I know we have each other on Instagram, but are you like on TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff too?
Yeah, so we regularly post. I have someone that manages the social media, and they regularly post on LinkedIn, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We do have a TikTok, but I don't really have. I'm not the kind of person that is like a content creator.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not my cup of tea.
Hmm.
So we have a TikTok, but mostly it's just going to be re posting various content. But the best content that we have is going to just be on any of those other platforms.
Okay. Yeah, I completely understand that. Like, I don't know if you've really delved deep into my Instagram, but there's like, no like reels. I mean, there's reels, but they're just sound bites. There's no like
Yeah,
actual, acting out or doing anything
right.
special.
I
Um,
get it.
yeah, it's rough, but I'm happy to hear that you partnered up with an influencer who can do that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's super helpful.
Yeah. Um, all right. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions, but is there anything else you want to share that we haven't talked about yet about the app?
No, you definitely covered it from top to bottom. I think we've talked about everything that I can think of. But yeah, I think that's about everything.
Okay. But so to reiterate, like it's free, it's available now. And is it both for Apple and Android too?
It is. Yep.
Okay, perfect. And then do you want to plug in like your website or where people can find you
Yeah,
guys?
yeah. So either on social media, it's kind of changed a little bit, but I think most of them are going to be under CoyAmore Dating altogether. And the website is simply just CoyAmore.com. So you can check us out there. We do have a blog that we very frequently, I think every Friday, we come out with a new blog post. So feel free to check it out.
Perfect. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Well, anyways. Well, thanks for, sharing all that. I'm excited to see the future of CoyAmore and, where it goes. And I really hope like people, find it. And I hope you get like all the ad space or all the, clout you can get so that you can be out there. Cause I think it's a really good app. I like the idea of getting introverts together because it's true. We don't leave our houses most of the time. And, if I was single, I probably wouldn't be going to the bars or the clubs or anything like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you again for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I'm happy to be here.
yeah. Awesome. Well, everyone make sure to go check it out. Go check out John's app. It's free. It's available now. Let's get all the single introverts together and hopefully finding love.
Absolutely.